My name is Brandon. I'll be refuting a speech given by Shayna. Her proposition was, video games can develop positive life skills to those who play them. Her secondary claims were video games can improve interpersonal skills that require communication and interaction with others. Video games require its audience to use either physical or mental skills in order to play through the game, and acknowledge that violent video games do not send a beneficial or positive message. Let's go back to her main claim. Video games can develop positive life skills to those who play them. Life skills definition: a skill that is necessary or desirable for full participation in everyday life. So response to her claim number one being, her supporting claim number one, video games can improve interpersonal skills that require communication and interaction with others. Let's define interpersonal skills. Interpersonal skills are the life skills we use every day to communicate and interact with other people, both individually and in groups. As supporting evidence to this claim, she stated that interacting with other players forces communication skills through online or physical means, but it also develops the use of another language that is used within the video game realm. Keyword being use of another language that is used within a video game realm. I can't see how another language would be helpful in everyday life. I mean, I want to speak the language everybody else is speaking, not one that's spoken in video games. And the example for that language she gave was chat speak, which would be like texting, which is like abbreviations using numbers, which is considered to be hard to understand. So, in a study conducted by Pew Internet and American Life Project, out of 700 youths aged 12 through 17, 60% don't consider chat speak to be a writing formal sense of language, and 63% say it has no impact on the writing they do for school, but yet 64% report that they have unintentionally used some form of chat speak in their formal writing, which could be pretty negative. I mean, you're trying to improve your interpersonal skills and improve your life skills, but you can't speak or write properly due to video game chat. I think that's more of a negative thing than anything positive to your development of life skills. So in response to claim number two, being video games require its audience to use physical or mental skills in order to play through the game. To support that, she said that according to scientists in the University of Rochester, those who play action video games make decisions 25% faster without losing accuracy. I thought that was pretty cool. I'd like to be 25% faster too. I mean, that's pretty good. I think we'd all rather be 25% faster too. So I looked into that study, a little more about that study. It was a single study, one study, based on participants between the age of 18 and 25. They were divided into two groups. One group played Call of Duty 2 for 50 hours, and the other group played Sims 2 for 50 hours. At the end of their 50 hours, they did a test, and the people who played the violent video game did 25% faster than the people who played Sims for 50 hours. I don't know, you're comparing two people playing video games instead of comparing how video games increases your chance of like developing some type of reaction time that's faster. You're comparing video game players to video game players that play for 50 hours. I don't see how like that's even relevant. Why don't we compare how we don't have anything saying how those video game players did better than people who don't play video games? We don't have anything on that. So how do we know that video game players who played this, yeah, they did 25% better than people who played Sims for 50 hours, but how do we know they did better than those who don't play video games at all? And let's see. She also stated that video games help you develop a sense of cognitive skills. She stated that positive correlation exists between children's academic levels and the strategic games they play. Now, I think a bunch of positive correlations exist everywhere. We got an example here in class. A positive correlation between ice cream sales and rape incidents. Doesn't mean ice cream sales cause rape incidents, and doesn't mean that your grade level will let's take a look at that statement. A positive correlation exists between children's academic levels and strategic games they play. A academic level, that's a grade level. That's not how smart you are, that's a grade level. And of course, I could only imagine as you get older, with your grade level advances, you're gonna want to play more advanced video games than Winnie the Pooh, making a balloon color, you know? So I could get that. Definitely give you a positive correlation between there. I just don't see how it's gonna help you develop any sense of cognitive skills in life. So then for third supporting claim, acknowledge violent video games do not send a beneficial or positive message. I would sure hope you would acknowledge that blowing people's brains out don't send a positive message to life, and I say that just that would just like expose you to more violence, which I don't see that being positive in your life skills. I find that to be more of a negative factor to your life, and don't see any of this. If it can't give you 25% faster, it doesn't improve your interpersonal skills, in fact makes it worse, then I don't believe playing video games develops any sense of positive life skills at all, but maybe negative instead. Thank you.
I already have one, don't I?
You want to?
Nope. Thank you. All right, the structural stuff's pretty good. I tell you what, you've got some interesting challenges on some of the issues that are being brought up. I thought that the strongest argument that you had was actually on the first point, where you were suggesting that it doesn't really enhance your interpersonal skills, and you focus on language as an example. I don't know exactly what all of the information was that the advocate presented, so I'm not sure that the contrast works as well as it could here, but the information that you developed focused on, chat speak, and I like that idea. And then you talked about how chat speak, which is probably going to be dominant in these video games, is not really going to be helpful to people communicating effectively. I thought you had a pretty good explanation of that, and there was, interestingly enough, some statistical information on it as well. I'm not exactly sure that that's the full breadth of what the advocate was talking about on that point, but it's a good counterexample for the thing that is being discussed on that first point. On the mental skills, I like the... you know what? You don't have any of your own evidence on this point, but I thought that you did an interesting thing in trying to analyze the study itself. The basic problem seems to be, like you said, they compared video game players to other video game players, and the difference in speed had to do with what kind of video game they were playing, and it doesn't really do a comparison between video game players and non-video game players, which is the argument that the advocate is talking about. So I think that there's a reasonable challenge there, and you even explained that challenge pretty effectively. It would be nice if there was some data that suggested that that people are capable of operating at those higher speeds without playing video games, or that the video games, for instance, maybe create some other problem that the dexterity doesn't really offset. For instance, that people are easily distracted, or they have a hard time for concentrating for long periods of time, or something along those lines. Your other argument about the strategy of the video game increases with academic levels, I thought that was, it's pretty much calling a spade a spade. This is exactly what we're saying. No kidding. So as people grow in academic levels, not in their intelligence, but in academic levels, they play more strategic video games, or that's correlated with that. Well, big surprise. So what's the inference that's being drawn from this? That's the challenge that you want to make, is say that the advocate doesn't really draw an effective inference here. They're just stating something that is pretty obvious, and that you can't reach any conclusion from that. So it's not just the criticism of the evidence that you want to have, but also what that means to the argument that's being presented. All right. Thank you.